I almost got a little teary there, Jeff. That was a surprisingly poignant point you made. I was trying to be a wise ass.
Now they have actual money to wager. These guys, NIL men, they have they can wager some money on these. These card games get out of hand sometimes. Oh, they are aggressive. Hello, welcome to Geoff Schwartz's Smarty. Geoff Schwartz Smarty, been by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Today is Tuesday, October 21st. I am Geoff Schwartz alongside Gabe Goodwin. And Gabe, we've made it. NBA preview season. Oh, wait, we're not doing that on this show. We're talking all football on this show, Gabe, all the time. NFL, college football. I want to see your reaction to that. I want to see if you were paying attention so early in the AM on the West Coast.
I'm paying attention, Jeff. What got my attention was in our little script here. It said it was January 14th, and I thought, that feels off. I should read closer. So, no, you didn't fool me with your NBA hijinks.
It did feel off. I mean, that's the time of year when Oregon would still be playing football and USC would be off. So I know that's kind of weird for you to feel that way about that date. But we'll talk about college football in a little bit, Gabe. Time to get to National Football League football. Let's
talk about the Lions. Okay, so they beat the Bucs 24-9 in Monday Night Football, the one we watched. The interesting thing about this game, though, is they had no secondary players, no starters. This was like 5 dudes coming off the bench. It seemed like Baker's going to pick them apart, and they hold Baker in check, not the MVP any longer, and they do enough on offense, and the Lions are pretty impressive, and this was a meaningful win. How did the defense become the story in Detroit? That was the only side of the ball we were like, yeah, that doesn't work.
Well, they played really well. It's so funny. All week we discussed this game on various times. We discussed it with Matt, and we had Tampa Bay. I think we were like, what? Why? This line makes no sense. Why is Tampa getting 5.5 points? And they weren't the right side the entire game. The Lions defense, dude, they played so fast. That's one thing I noticed. They played very fast and fearless. And look, you shouldn't play any slower because you have worse players, right? Play fast, and they forced turnovers, and they were hounding Baker Mayfield. Really, the pass rush got to Mayfield a bunch. That was a big plus for the Lions. The noise, and I'm not sure I consider Ford Field to be exceptionally loud place, Gabe, but Baker Mayfield was clearly dealing with the noise issue, and the Bucs just looked out of sorts. You know, we talked about previewing this game. We said what's easier to play with? No wide receivers, and oddly enough, Tampa did have Mike Evans and Ibuka play. Or no secondary. And I said no wide receivers, right? We saw Tez Johnson 2 weeks ago. We saw Shepard. We saw the other Johnson, and they were fine. Kate Otten as well. And then I do wonder for Tampa Bay, like playing Mike Evans clearly wasn't 100%. Then he got hurt again. Ibuka sort of came alive in the second half, but I do wonder if playing those guys, Ibuka again was fine, but playing Evans probably rushed him back too soon, kind of messed with the flow of the offense. But again, credit to the Lions, man. They played fast. They played physical. They forced those turnovers, right? Had a fumble, an interception, and back-to-back plays. There's Tampa was sort of trying to score before the end of the first half, I think it was. And give credit to the Lions, man. They balled out. Good win for them, right? Because you play the Chiefs, doesn't go very well. You play a red-hot Bucs team, and you shut them down. It was a big win for the Lions.
Yeah, and the offensive line seemed like a big part of it. Jameer Gibbs had 200 and some odd rush yards, and I saw some clips of Penei Sewell just like moving people around and then running his ass off downfield. Why is this line so good?
Though? He did miss the block, though.
He missed the block. That's true.
Yeah. Back in the day when you used to be able to throw in those guys, cut them, you would just dive full. I had a coach with the Chiefs, and heck, still there. His son was the Bucs right tackle last night. He said on screens or in space that we get a minus if we don't try to cut the defender because we're so large. If we just throw our bodies in the way, they're probably going to move out of the way and cause some space for the runner. Well, look, the Lions' offensive line is good for a couple reasons. Their offensive line coach is great. Hank Fraley is fantastic. But two, they've also just spent the resources, right? They have a first-round left tackle. They have a first-round right tackle. A Glasnow was a third-round pick, I want to say, for them. He left and came back for them. Ratledge, second-round pick, I believe, this year. It's like they've spent the resources on the offensive line game. Like, that's important. Look, Penei Sewell was a no-brainer, right? I mean, you look at his college tape. Ratledge was second-round pick. And then Mahogany was a sixth-round pick. So they spent the resources there, and they've done a good job building them around. So that's what it is, right? It's the resources and the offensive line coach, and what they do best, in my mind, Gabe, is they are very versatile. Um, they are their ability to do different blocks and different schemes makes them really hard to scout. A lot of times, offensive lines are good at one thing, maybe two. It's what you have time to practice. So you're an outside zone team, you're inside zone team, you're a power gap type team. The lines do everything. And that's a credit to their offensive line coach and credit to the players that are able to do and learn different techniques with limited practice time. So you can't really pin down the lines to one thing they do. Now, obviously, adding Gibbs, who had a great long run, Montgomery, who's a very tough runner, it makes it very difficult to game plan this offense.
Okay. Well, I was led to believe this offseason that they were cooked because they lost all their coordinators and no one could possibly bring the magic back. And Hank had an interesting take that I'll relay. Basically, new blood. Like sometimes, I'll say it this way. In an office place, we do creative stuff for a living. Like sometimes you just need new brains, even if maybe they aren't as accomplished as the brains who you once had. Like a show can improve by just bringing in some new producers who've done things differently. Is that maybe what's happening here? Why were we so sure they were going to crumble because Ben Johnson left?
Good point. Um, I think it's time to give credit to Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell has far more input in the offense than we give him credit for with Ben Johnson. Because they switch offensive coordinators. Week one was a little bit tough. That was a tough spot, right? You go to Green Bay, they just got Micah Parsons. Like, he just didn't play very well. And since then, the offense has looked exactly like it did last season. And the one constant is Dan Campbell, right? He's the one constant. And that leads me to believe that he has a bigger say in the offense than we've given him credit for previously. And I know that the biting the kneecaps and his big meathead and his, 8 espresso shots a day that he has, like he just has this persona of I'm a head coach and I'm a big tough guy and I'm not in charge of anything but making sure our team is tough and ready to play. But Gabe, I think he does a lot more for the offense than we give him credit for. And when you have an offense that looks the same with a new coordinator, all right, like the Eagles, for example, are struggling on offense. Now, last week they broke out a little bit because guess what? Throw the ball A.J. Brown works out pretty well. But the offense looks a little bit different, right, with a new coordinator. It looks the same in Detroit. So to me, it's about Dan Campbell and his ability to really have an input in this offense more than give him credit for.
Okay. I think we can clip that out and make some people in Detroit pretty happy with that take. Let me ask you this. Other side of the ball. You mentioned Mike Evans. He comes back. We all assume this is his last season. Now he comes back maybe a week too early, gets injured again. The reason that's relevant is because he is, doing something incredible, going for 1,000 yards receiving basically every year for over a decade.
Yes.
So off the top of your dome, and I wrote a few names down, I'd like to hear top 5 wide receivers of this generation. And I'm defining this generation as roughly since Calvin Johnson.
Okay. Well, Calvin Johnson,
He's
obviously.
Better. I'm saying Calvin Johnson is better, but let's go start after him or after, his prime. And you've got choices like Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green, Tyreek Hill, Julio Jones, Larry Fitzgerald, Devontae Adams.
Wasn't Larry Fitzgerald drafted like at the same time as him?
Okay, take Larry Fitzgerald out. He just lasted forever. Remove him.
Okay. Antonio Brown, for as goofy as he is post-career, he might be the best of them all. In this list, obviously Julio Jones is on there, Devontae Adams. I like your list. Hopkins is good. Tyreek Hill.
But isn't Mike Evans maybe better than all of them? That's the point. And it's not like he had a good quarterback that whole time.
So here's a question, right? So this is a really interesting question. We're going to get into the idea of, and this is going to happen a lot as we move forward because there's more passing, right? Is we're going to get into an era where we have quarterbacks and wide receivers that have a ton of stats that I'm not sure are as good as previous generations. And here's sort of my test. And I looked this up just to make sure. So I typically go by, and this is the Frank Gore first Hall of Fame argument that I was sort of against Frank Gore in the Hall of Fame, was like, he gets credit for longevity and for putting up numbers, but was he ever top 3 in his position? Right? Like, was he ever top 5 in his position? So Mike Evans had made 2 second team All Pros in 16 and 23. And I think Mike Evans he made 6 Pro Bowls. He's probably going to go in the Hall of Fame. He's going to end up with possibly, top I think top 10 for receiving and top 10 for touchdowns, like something like that, Gabe. Like he's that good of a player. But was to your point, like you make this list, like would you have taken Antonio Brown over him? Yes, right. Devontae Adams, you would take Mike Evans. Dude, Antonio Brown is prime, buddy.
I wouldn't have. I would have
Ooh.
taken Mike Evans at the exact same time that Antonio Brown looked great. I still probably would have taken Mike Evans. He's enormous, dude. He can run every route. He's like, you can't tackle the dude. He's always open. I don't think of him and drops going hand in hand. And he did all this with, let me just remind people. Yes, Tom Brady's in there, but Josh McCown, Mike Glennon, Jameis, when the ball was just flying all over the field, he couldn't even see. Remember, that was before Jameis realized he couldn't see. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Blaine Gabbert, like Baker Mayfield's the second best quarterback you ever played with. Like, it's unbelievable. The guy's just been open and catching the ball and healthy for over a decade, and we act like he's Frank Gore, and he's not. Maybe you can argue Antonio Brown, but like we have to remember everything else you get with Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown had, I think, like 400 less yards in his career than Mike Evans.
Yeah, and you get none of the nonsense with Mike Evans. I don't remember a single bad thing about him.
That's the thing about Evans, though. Like, you have to add in the fact that he wins the Walter Payton Man of the Year award for the Bucs. Like, you add in all those things off the field. Yeah, look, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I think people have to sort of accept that that's the case, even though, again, it's the question of, like, was he ever top 3 for a sustained period, top 5? I mean, that's my Frank Gore thing. It's like, Frank Gore made, like, one All-Pro team in his 20 years. Like, I know only 2 running backs make the All-Pro every year, but I sort of view, and this is why I was, like, pro Tony Baselli, Terrell Davis getting the Hall of Fame. Like, if you're the best player in your position for multiple years in a row and injuries cut you short, I get it. You might not be as longevity as someone else, and that matters obviously. But if Tony Baselli was the best left tackle, Gabe, when 4 other Hall of Famers were playing, it's pretty remarkable. Like, yeah. So that thing about some of the stat guys is I'm curious to see like where we are on, like, is Stafford's going to be an interesting one, because Matt Stafford's incredible. I think he's actually underrated now. He's going to have a ton of passing records or close to that, but is he a Hall of Famer with the quarterbacks he's playing with now?
Yeah, that one's a harder one. We'll have to come back to that when they are in the news a little bit more. Without Puka being healthy, I don't know what Stafford can.
Well, they beat the shit out of Jacksonville, though. Jeez.
Well, okay. Congratulations on beating the hell out of Jacksonville. Let's talk about a team that is relevant in the AFC, not Jacksonville. Your Chiefs. I watched, it always happens, but I watched us go through 7 weeks from like the Chiefs are cooked to, maybe the Chiefs, I don't know, to the Chiefs are obviously the best team in the league. Anyone who says otherwise is a moron who doesn't watch football. Yes, they do look a lot better, but why are we guaranteeing them another Super Bowl run after 5 weeks ago saying, I don't know if they're going to do it? Why is that happening so quickly?
Well, I think I told you that we had to wait to see the offense together and whole. That was the first game they just played with Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Travis Kelce all together. And they're out their left tackle. Now, luckily for them, Jalen Moore stepped in and they paid him to be their starting left tackle, and it just didn't work out that way. So they're whole on offense, man. And they look incredible now that they have everyone in place. The offensive creativity has come back. The confidence has come back. And now you have players like Kelce go to the 4th option. It's where he should be at the point of his career. And defensively, they're still issuing rushing the passer, but Spags has figured it out. Now, the Raiders stink. The Raiders had 3 first downs. Pretty remarkable. Chiefs had 30, I think, or 31 first downs. The Raiders are absolutely horrific. But there's a reason why we always, with the Chiefs, like when they struggle, it's like just kind of wait till they figure it out. And they figured it out. I thought they figured it out sooner than I imagined. Now they play Monday night against the Commanders, who are super beat up right now, so they should go to 5-3. And then they have a tough schedule because they're the first place schedule, but the rest of the division too. Part of it is the rest of the division, right? The Raiders are horrific. The Chargers don't look good anymore. The Broncos, whatever, they won, but they're 5-2. But like no one believes in the Broncos, and that's why there's excitement about Kansas City. Also, because they're going to win the division and get a home playoff game again.
Okay, wait. You just said something. I'm going to skip ahead. Nobody believes in the Broncos. Okay. I don't believe in the Broncos. I think a lot of people believe in the Broncos. And I think that comeback this weekend made people go, wait a second. I have to pay attention to the Broncos. What the hell was that?
Um, I don't believe in them because they call plays like they're terrified of Bo Nix. And for 3 quarters, they called the most boring conservative game plan I've seen for a supposed genius in Sean Payton. I question whether they practiced this week, Gabe. It was so bad. And then of course it's like, well, now we have to try to win the game. Let's go to use our good plays right now, according to DraftKings. Now again, these fluctuate a lot. AFC West Division futures, Kansas City -130, Broncos +200. So we're buying the Chiefs to win the division here. It comes down again, I think, to Bo Nix, and there's just a lack of trust in his ability to do everything you have to do to win consistently at that position. And Sean Payton calls plays like he's terrified of Bo Nix messing it up. And so that's why I think there's a lot of confidence in the Chiefs that are getting right now. There's still 2 games with Denver left on the Chiefs' schedule, and they get one of them off a bye. And Andy Reid is incredibly good off a bye. So I think that's why we're all in on Kansas City.
Okay. Well, the rest of that schedule that you teased, it includes the Commanders next week with a Monday night game against Jayden Daniels, who's questionable, whose mom doesn't like the RG3 comparisons, by the way. Cut it out for all of you who are
I did see that. We can just RG3 is a Fox employee. I love RG3. So we should continue to have his takes out there as much as possible.
Who else on earth would we compare him to, though? Like, what is she upset about? That's the most obvious comparison in the history of football.
I just think she doesn't want her son compared to someone who got hurt. Like that feels normal.
But that's just the concern we all had was, I think that guy's going to get hurt.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I covered Jayden Daniels as a freshman at Arizona State, and he was 175 pounds. And we asked Sherm Edwards that at the time, and he's like, no, we're going to run our offense, and they did. He never was hurt in college game. That's why it's interesting he's so hurt now, because that wasn't a problem of his in college. So, but did RG3 say like other things about his work ethic? What are other things that he said?
The fact that he didn't get hurt playing against like Pac-12 defenses a few years ago is nice. But, like, I don't get hurt if I play knockout against 40-year-olds at a bachelor party, something I did this weekend. You know when I get hurt?
Knockout, nice.
Yeah, that's my point is we couldn't even move well enough to play like a real 2-on-2 game. We had to play a goofy version of basketball. You know when I get hurt is if I try to go play with guys in their 20s who are good at basketball. That's when I get hurt. That's what happens. If you play in the NFL, you get hurt.
I stopped playing basketball. Just not worth it. I can't. Can you imagine getting hurt in the basketball? No, not going to happen.
I can. It happened. I couldn't do anything for months because of it. Speaking of hurt, let's go back to football. Do the Chiefs, now that they've been corrected and are clearly everybody's Super Bowl favorite because they're 5-3 or whatever, what is it, 4-3? Sorry. Do they need a running back? Are those guys okay? Do we trade for a running back here if you're Kansas City? There's a nice market for pretty big names. Would Alvin Kamara look nice in a
I'd rather trade for a pass rusher, but we'll see. I think that the Smith kid they drafted, they've sort of given him a little more carries every week. He's the guy they need to rely on a little bit more to run the football. The problem is, and this is the issue with young running backs, is they got to pass protect, right, Gabe? You can't just have them in the game to only run the football. Teams will figure that out. So these young guys have issues in pass protection, and that's what keeps them off the field. So if Smith can figure out that part of his game, where to go, who to block in pass protection, I think he'll become the guy. I'd love to trade for a pass rusher, whether it's Trey Hendrickson, who's a little beat up right now, whether it's Cam Jordan from the Saints. The Saints are awful right now. Supposedly Cam doesn't really want to be traded, but I think those are the guys you would target.
Okay. Well, we'll watch that. Let's give them a W next week, and then I think that stretch of games for a while there gets real ugly, and I'm not sure we're giving them 13 wins. I
don't think we are either. The culture, they're probably the 1 seed, which is crazy to say out loud.
Well, it's especially crazy because I need to remind you that the team you just said was the very first and most consistent banned thing on our banned list. So thank you for bringing it up. Hank, number 2 on there after Jordan Hudson is the team you just said. So we're not talking about them, even though they're 6-1. We will talk about their running back who could be an MVP, and I'm going to save us some time here and say, We don't need to talk about anything really happening in the NFC East except, Jeff, is it time to bet the Cowboys to win the division? Could it possibly happen? Maybe. The division
No,
is a mess.
we have Cowboys over win total, which
Yeah.
is fantastic. That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Dak's been fantastic, which I think we predicted happening.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're winning the division. I think the Eagles they're just better. They're going to win the division.
Okay. All right. You saved
According
us
to our
some
friends at
time.
DraftKings, the Commanders are still ahead of the Cowboys for division odds.
Feels crazy to me, but okay. They know better than I do.
Maybe, or that's where they're getting the money. So I still like the Eagles to finish that division number one. And do you want to take our break now? Are we done with Commanders? Because it feels like there's our production staff would like some Commanders discussion.
The only other Commanders discussion we would have is me forcing you to take a 2024 quarterback redraft again, like I do every week. But
I think Drake Maye might be ahead. I don't know, Gabe. I don't know. He's playing well. He's playing well. I mean, you don't want that answer. That's your hated Patriots might be good at quarterback again.
I don't want that answer at all, but that's what we call in the business a good tease because he's coming up next.
All right. Video viewers don't go anywhere. Audio viewers will be right back. All right, Gabe, we're back. Some quick hitters, then we'll get into some college football, where we'll talk about some craziness, some chaos in college football. Let's do our quick hitters real quick.
Okay, you just brought it up. Drake Maye starting to quietly get some MVP talk. I don't like it. I don't like seeing the Patriots play this well.
Drake Maye is up to fourth best MVP odds now.
Yeah.
It's Mahomes, Allen, Mayfield, Drake Maye. Dude, their schedule is such a joke. They're going to finish with 11 wins if they play this way. Like, there's a legitimate chance they win the division, which is wild. But their schedule is pretty. I'm going to pull up right now. They got the Browns, Falcons. They play the Falcons at home. The Falcons are much different home and away. The Falcons are not as good on the road. Then they go to Tampa, then the Jets, then the Bengals, Giants, and then they have Bills, Ravens. That'll tell us a lot about them near the end of the year. And then Jets and Dolphins. They're going to be a favorite in all these games except maybe Tampa Bay. They're probably not a favorite in Tampa Bay. Play Buffalo at home, at Baltimore. So 3 of these games will be underdog. The rest of them, they should be a favorite. They should, in my opinion, the way they're playing, win most of those games. And so, yeah, look, the talent was there for Drake Maye. He needed reps. He got the reps last season. And now he's reaping the benefit of playing with a competent coach, competent offensive coordinator. Doesn't have the wide receivers, still not there, but he's making the throws. He's making the big time throws, moving the pocket. I mean, it's very impressive, Gabe. He's doing really, really well.
Yeah, I think that I don't like saying this either. I think that we, as members of the media, people who talk about football, just absolutely brain farted on Mike Vrabel. And, because he got the Titans to a place where we were like, man, maybe they're good. And then they didn't do anything in the postseason. We then just accepted that, yeah, maybe that guy's not that good. He's obviously an excellent coach.
Yeah, well, I think the issue with Vrabel was that he just reached like a limit in Tennessee and couldn't break through, and people kept praising him for not getting past that point. And maybe other coaches don't get that praise for getting there. That's my only guess. And very clearly can coach. I just think a lot of people didn't think that with the Patriots' offensive setup, offensive line, wide receivers, that they would be as good this quickly. So that's, I think, what a lot of people were pushing back on. Because a lot of times the offseason winner, the best coach of the hire, is not the best coach of the hire. The cycle, I should say, right? That a lot of times is the last guy we think is going to be the best coach of the hire of the cycle. So I think a lot of people were right to sort of think that it would take more time to look this good. But hey, man, credit New England. They're doing a great job.
Okay. My weekly reminder that you could bet Jonathan Taylor as MVP if you want to. Another 3-touchdown game for him on the team that is 6-1 that we don't speak about. I've been asking about this every week, and every week his case gets better and better. I don't know if the value's there in your mind, Jeff, but Jonathan Taylor MVP, do we start to think about putting some money on that?
No. So here's my point for running back. My thing with running back is that you have to do something extraordinary to win that award at running back. So the last running backs that have won AJ Peterson had
Yeah.
9 yards short of Eric Dickerson's record.
Right.
And then the other two were 2,000-yard season with Sean Alexander. And then LT broke the rushing touchdown record in '05, I believe. Jonathan Taylor's not near any of those yet. So like they're not they just have shown over the years are not giving it to running backs unless you do something where you break records. And right now, he's not breaking records at the moment. If he gets there, sure, but I don't know if he's gonna get there.
Okay, and all I'm saying, and we can save a little time here because I feel like I keep saying this, is I'm not talking about whether his season will actually be better than any of those guys. It's circumstance. You just told me you think the Colts are going to be the 1 seed. If they are, we know they're not getting the MVP, is not going to be their quarterback. That would also then mean that even if Patrick Mahomes keeps having nice games, nobody's going to give it to him in a year where it isn't even his best year. Josh Allen would have had to not meet expectations. Baker is going to slide quickly as soon as he has, two losses in a row. I don't know anyone else who's emerging in this conversation. It's no one on the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean,
Lamar fell apart.
If Mahomes throws for 4,800 yards and has 45 touchdowns or 30 he's going to get the award.
But in stipulation here, he isn't a 13-win quarterback this year. You believe that. So I'm saying if the Colts are 15-2 and Jonathan Taylor has a zillion yards and 30 touchdowns.
It's right now 60-1. Jonathan Taylor MVP.
No, we're here.
Offensive player of the year is far more likely he's the favorite. He's even money right now.
I'm just saying, if we're looking for something to just have some fun rooting for down the stretch here, it could be him for MVP. You know what's not fun, Jeff?
It could, yes.
I know from experience, being a Jets fan. So I'm here to give you a take that I want your honest reaction to. The Jets should be moved to London permanently.
Did you see that?
Nobody would care except the people who really care. And then guess what? Fine, go to London. Care about them there.
Did you see the Jets, the kid they interviewed about the Jets after the game? He said, "I hate my team. I was born into this, but I hate this team."
I didn't, but that's what I'm avoiding with my kids. They will not be Jets fans.
And that is sad. But wasn't their owner like a special envoy to
yes, he was.
Yeah, whatever
he earned that
position
of course.
Was.
That had nothing to do with who his buddy in the White House was.
Oh, we're doing politics? No. We save that for Matt. Matt, we save that for Matt. Try to make one joke an episode where he laughs hysterically about some political thing I say. Yeah, look, no one would even notice, I don't think, if he was gone. Like the Jets would be, they're in London now. They're so bad. I after the game, they benched Justin Fields, and Aaron Glenn got to the podium and was like, I don't know what I'm doing at quarterback. I'm going to call people who have had this problem before and figure out what I'm doing for if I'm benching Fields or not. Why do we think Fields is terrible? He's been terrible his entire career. Bench him and move it along. Why do you have this allegiance to him? I don't understand.
I have no idea. And you know how Aaron Glenn could tap into some experience of what it's like to play on a team who can't figure out who their quarterback is? He could just look at his own damn career with the Jets. It's not like that was just a locked-in decision every single year of his career. I mean, he was there for some Testaverde Pennington type years. But come on, man. We know what it's like to not have a good quarterback. This team needs to be burnt down and rebuilt. I'm sorry for Aaron Glenn that this was his shot, but this is ridiculous.
People are trying to compare Aaron Glenn to Dan Campbell's first season. I just don't see it. Dan Campbell as a coach is just we know now, right? Obviously, very dynamic as a coach. I just don't see that with Aaron Glenn. I know people are holding out
doing the funny dance on the sideline.
And I want to repeat this, worth pointing out, Dan Katz made this point, Gabe, that the capri pants wearing coaches, 0-7 Jets, 1-6 Dolphins. We didn't dish the capri pants.
Thank you for that segue. Why is Mike McDaniel still a head coach in the NFL?
I don't know. It's a good question. The argument that I've heard is essentially what else are they going to do? Like who are they gonna have coach the team? So I mean, my point was like anyone other than Mike McDaniel should coach the team. They, the weather this weekend in Cleveland was bad, right? We know that. And like every time the Dolphins play a bad weather game, their coach looks the most miserable of them all on the sideline. And I just don't think you can have that. You remember Coughlin, when they went to play the Packers in the playoffs, he had those red cheeks, but he looked like fiery. Like he was like,
Yeah.
F this cold. McDaniels looks like he just hates life every time it's not perfect weather. And I just like, I look at him, I'm like, what can you like? I know they're getting their ass kicked. Sure, I get it. But like, can you like sort of pretend this isn't bothering you? And they just can't play unless it's ideal, perfect conditions.
Theory. This little feud he's creating with his quarterback.
What
Guy
feud?
who
Tua stinks.
Well, but they seemingly loved and trusted each other not long ago. Even during some really scary health stuff with Tua, it seemed like Mike had his back. That's part of when we kind of fell in love with the guy. And now they're feuding pretty openly. Is it possible that Mike was like, uh-oh, I know the boss, let's call it the owner in this case. I know somebody up top doesn't like our quarterback. We got to run him out of town. I'll be the guy who helps run him out of town. That's how I save my job. Your office politics.
I don't know. I possibly, but I don't know if it's that deep with him.
Okay, it's probably not. Micah Parsons, speaking of not deep, says that when the Packers got stuck on the tarmac, they had major delays trying to get to Arizona. That they played a bunch of cards on the plane and they had some camaraderie and maybe that helped them. And they won a closer than it should have been game. Is playing cards on the team plane a good thing? You've done that.
I actually buy this. I think camaraderie and team building is much tougher now for a couple of reasons. One is you spend less time with each other, right? You come in later in the offseason now, you have less time at training camp. Nights are shorter now, you have more days off, and you have technology. And look, I'm addicted to my phone. You see my every week, my whatever screen time. We're all addicted to our phones. And when I came to the NFL, we didn't have we had phones, we had Blackberries, like we weren't on our phones all day. We hung out together. And the one thing that I tell every time I go to O-line masterminds in the summer, I say the same thing every year. One thing that helped me as a player, I think it's super important, was we watched film together as an offensive line. We didn't have the capability to go home and watch film. They gave us like CDs we could put in like my PlayStation 2, Gabe, and watch film if I wanted to. But who wants to watch film that way? That was not that's a terrible way to watch film. So we watched film together and we had camaraderie together in the offensive line room. We ate breakfast in the morning together and watched film. We stayed after practice or after meetings for a couple minutes, whenever it was, and ate lunch together and watched film. Like we spent all our time together watching film and hanging out, and all the time in the locker room with double days, like in training camp. We just spent together doing stupid shit to entertain ourselves, but you build up that camaraderie. And at night in the hotel, we weren't on our phones. We went and played cards together. We all joined as offensive line in one person's room. We read our offensive line coach wrote us notes, like 2 pages of notes. He had a thick New England accent, and one of our offensive linemen would read the notes in his accent, and we played cards for 2 hours on Saturday night. It was the most fun ever, man. I think camaraderie is going away because of all the distractions now. And it's not a good or bad thing. That's just the reality of it, right, Gabe? So to have to sit alone on a plane, and the plane does not get good cell reception. As soon as you step in that tube, it just goes away. And you're sitting there just playing cards, hanging out, talking life, talking shop. Like, I do think that matters. And I agree with Parsons that they probably haven't done that in a very long time. And I would not be surprised if that was a very positive thing for them moving forward.
I almost got a little teary there, Jeff. That was a surprisingly poignant point you made. I was trying to be a wise ass, but yeah, I buy it.
I just think that I feel fortunate. I straddled that sort of line in my career of like, obviously double days to not double days, but like just the change and the shift of like how we did stuff. I didn't have iPad to watch film on. I got to watch it with everyone else. That was the only way I was to do that. So, I just saw that shift. And so I can understand now where that camaraderie is being lost because guys are not spending all that time together. So I've had some bad plane delays though, and they're not fun to send that plane. I'm sure we've all had plane delays, obviously, but when you're doing it like on a charter and your time is sort of limited and you're trying to, it's not very fun.
No. Well, From everything you just told me, I have a guess now that Indiana football, they put the iPads away, and those dudes are playing a lot of cards because they are playing some football, man.
Now they have actual money to wager. These guys, NIL men, they have they can wager some money on these. These card games get out of hand sometimes. Oh, they are aggressive. Very quickly, who authorized 2 Monday Night Football games? No one wants this. We've watched football Thursday, Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. I need a tiny bit of a break. Like I was out after the first game. Like I can't make it till 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday after I've stayed up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I know it's not a problem for West Coast folks, but like who authorized this game? No one actually wants this.
No, I can tell you who definitely did not authorize it. Rob Manfred, because he had a game 7 going on. I mean,
yes, and I took a peek at that one. George Springer, Toronto hero now. Reminiscent of the Batista home run. I said there's some Joe Carter comparisons. A little early for that, right? World Series, ALCS. I'm a big Blue Jay fan this week as the Dodgers, the super team, hopefully can be defeated. I doubt it, Gabe. That's my World Series preview. I doubt it. The Dodgers are too good.
I don't think this is the show for it, but I truly cannot think of an athlete who had a better one-game performance than Shohei did in Game 4. I don't think that exists.
This can be the podcast for it. I don't think we've seen that ever before. To have 10 strikeouts and 3 home runs. Not only that, Gabe, one of the home runs left the stadium.
Yes, that's correct.
Like the thing about Dodger Stadium is, they have obviously they have like 5 decks outside, behind home plate. It goes up like 5 levels. But then outfield, there's a pavilion. It's all just basically one pavilion, right? And, it's balls leaving the pavilion are very rare. It happens, 10 times last 30 years. It doesn't happen. And in a playoff game, his second home run of the night went 470 feet over the pavilion. Yeah. And then he hit a third home run later in the game and struck out 10. I think the most impressive thing he did in that stretch, by the way, so he struck out the side to start the game. And, when pitchers used to hit, they would bat ninth. So you come in, you settle down, and maybe you hit the end of the first inning. Very rare, obviously. You come back out, you pitch, and you hit. He had to strike out the side, rush in, put on his gear because he has to protect his right shoulder, his right elbow. He bats lefty, throws right-handed. So he put his gear on, put his stuff on, get to the plate, warm-up swings, boom, home run. Unbelievable athlete. I wish he wasn't a Dodger so I could root for him a little bit more because he's also just like a nice human, it seems like. I don't know. He bows and shakes everyone's hands. It's super nice. And it was an incredible display of athleticism and skill we did the other night. And I think it's not hyperbole to say that was the single best baseball performance we've ever seen in a game. I don't really, people will say, and the thing about baseball is so funny, Gabe, they'll be like, in 1905, Curly Joe Johnson. I don't care. I don't care what happened in 1905. Only sport that does this. In the modern era of baseball, in sport, maybe that was the single best performance you've ever seen in a game.
I can't argue with it. So for the football hardos here, what is that like doing on a football field?
Oh, geez. It would be if Travis Hunter, who the Jaguars are wasting right now by not deciding what position he's going to play, had like 2 interceptions and 3 touchdowns in a game in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Or AFC Championship game. You'd be like, what the heck did we just watch? That's what it would be like. There's no quarterback comparison. Unless could Lamar Jackson throw for 350 and rush for 200 in a Super Bowl? That's like the equivalent of that, I think. I don't even know. It'd have to be the best game ever by a quarterback in a Super Bowl or a conference championship game. And we've had good ones, but not the best. That's the best equivalent to football I can put it.
Yeah, it would be like, I think it'd be like if Devin Hester had like a pick 6 also in the Super Bowl and then caught like 5 first downs, So kick return, pick 6, and a bunch of
that's not even enough.
That's right, even that probably wouldn't be enough.
He'd have to score like 3 touchdowns. I don't even know. There's no football equivalent to what Ohtani did. And mind you, he had not been playing well until this point. The Dodgers were still in a position to sweep the Brewers. Now he's playing better. So from the plate, he's been pitching fine. He was kind of slumping in the plate. And Freeman, I think, was slumping. And like the Dodgers team is so deep. The issue is with the Dodgers. I don't care about the super team, super talent. I don't care about that. It's the fact that they deferred this money, right? Like that's the problem baseball has to fix, is that they're paying Ohtani like $2 million this season, Gabe. And a bunch of other players on the team have deferred money to later. That's what's quote unquote broken about baseball. I don't care there's no salary cap. If you want to be poor, be poor. If you want to be expensive and spend your money, be expensive, spend your money. But the fact is the Dodgers deferring all this money to later allows them to build a super team. I'm shocked owners allow this to happen, Gabe, that they allow in the CBA to defer money. That it was taken out, I think, and put back in. But like I don't, that part I don't get. I don't get why owners would allow another team to basically pay their players nothing now and keep their money, by the way, make more money while that happens, and then pay them out later. And Ohtani I believe he took no interest. So he just does got an interest-free loan to build championships.
Yeah. Well, listen, Geoff, I think we took a nice detour to talk about the
okay.
greatest
Football
baseball
time.
player on the planet. Now we're into bookkeeping and, I don't think that's what
Sorry,
people are
football
here for.
time. Let's go.
Well, I want to talk about Indiana's top players and the fact that this program has completely blown us all away. So let's cover them and the rest of college football on the other side of a break. We got a few minutes left for that.
All right, Gabe, we're back. Let's do some college football. Wild weekend, man. Chaos around. Ranked teams on the road losing. Ranked teams like Miami losing at home. Who's the best team is, I have no idea. But we have a couple at the top that are good, and one of them is the Indiana Hoosiers, who came off that big Oregon win and dominated Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, and I've seen Michigan State up close. They aren't special, but Indiana was clearly the better team. And the quarterback is now getting talk, draft talk.
Yeah.
What's going on here? It was the coach for the first few weeks. Now we're talking about the quarterback. I guess the defense can play a bit too. What do you like most about Indiana? Because it's time to start taking them really, really seriously.
Well, it's what I said after they played Oregon, is that when you watch the film of Indiana, they just play really well as a group, Gabe. And you can see they believe in what they're doing, and they play fast and they play physical. And the Mendoza discussion for the NFL is different than maybe the Heisman discussion, because their offense is not a complicated offense. It is mostly runs between the tackles, a lot of RPO, right? You fake that run, or you put the ball in the back's belly. The safeties come up, you throw behind the safeties. The linebackers come up, you throw behind the linebackers. Simple concept like that, and then a ton of outside the number throws where these wide receivers are really good, running comebacks, running goes, running back shoulders, and then a couple shot plays, right? You play action pass, guy goes deep in the middle of the field. It's not coming offense, but what they do is they execute it at a very, very high level. Mendoza's decision making is fantastic. He doesn't make the wrong decision. And then defensively, again, it's a collection of everyone doing the thing they have to do to win that rep. They don't have guys up front that are going to traditionally win one-on-one pass rush all the time. But the way they move and their effort, you add in the blitz package and boom, they're able to attack Dante Moore 6 times, right, Gabe? It's an impressive group of belief of how they play. And so that to me is what I see. Give Mendoza credit, give Signetti credit, give, I think the D coordinator, it's not Fisher, that's their linebacker. Give a D coordinator credit. They just play a brand of football that carries each and every week, and they believe in what they do.
Yeah, and now their schedule, well, UCLA and Neuheisel are on something. I don't know how to explain what's going on.
I'll give you a preview right now. I think Indiana is going to smoke UCLA this weekend.
I think so too.
That might be my best bet of the week.
It's that early game issue that
Well, actually, the Bruins played okay in the early game when they went to Michigan State, but Michigan State is atrocious. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's just a combination of the Bruins have not played Indiana this season. This 3-game stretch they're on, which is great for the Bruins. It's a dead Penn State, Michigan State is terrible, and then they squeak by against Maryland. This is a much different beast for them this weekend on the road. 12 noon kickoff, big noon kickoff being there. So we'll get to that game on our show on Thursday with Matt.
And their rivalry game to close the season is probably the easiest game they're going to play of the remaining 5, which means they get to actually think about the Big Ten championship and whatever their future holds.
I thought you were talking about UCLA's rivalry game to end the season. I was like, I agree. Easiest game they're going to play all season. We're on back to Indiana. I'm sorry. Okay.
All right. Well, I was definitely talking about Indiana and not UCLA. We clearly Well, although, what the hell's going on with Neuheisel? Is there something at UCLA that we should think about?
I was trying to get a shot at USC there. Yeah, you didn't fall for it.
We'll get there, man. That's in there. Don't worry.
I just think Neuheisel has waited for this opportunity, Gabe. He's obviously his dad was a good coach, is a good coach, knew offense really well. He waited for his opportunity and he got it. He had a plan for what the offense needed to be with Nico, and Nico's very talented. No one has doubted Nico's talent. They just didn't get it out of him the first couple of weeks of the season, and now offensively, they're getting that best out. Now, again, to be fair, the more film that gets out there, the worse they're playing on offense. Right? Penn State game was the best they looked. Michigan State, not as good. Maryland, not as good. Now you go play Indiana. So like it's now it's time for the adjustments, right? Like what does Neuheisel have for a second and third pitch? And again, this weekend's going to be hard. They're going to be tough. But I think Neuheisel just waited for his opportunity. It's like almost like reverse nepotism. Like he didn't get the opportunity that a lot of coaches. I mean, he's been a position coach for a long time now. Think about all the coaches with last names that how quickly they move up in the rankings. Not the rankings, move up in the coaching ranks. And he did. He just waited his time and he got it.
Yeah. Well, so do you just parlay that into like go get the bigger job and find out if you can actually hang, or you try to build something at UCLA?
I think he wants to stay, but the question who the head coach is going to be at UCLA. I mean, does he want to keep Neuheisel? It depends who they hire. If it's a defensive coach, maybe. Offensive coach, probably not.
Yeah. Okay. Let's shift gears. It was big weekend in the SEC as well, and it's starting to clarify. Like who's what with some bigger ranked games. I have my own sort of guesses, but I want to know from you, who is the actual sort of top 5 power rankings in the SEC now that we've seen them start to play tougher games?
Alabama won.
Yeah.
Alabama's won. Great job. I mean, they just played 4 straight like tough games and didn't flinch at all.
Agreed, but this is where it's very hard. Now give me 2 and 3 and 4. That's where I think there's a lot of
I think A&M is 2 for now. I mean, they're 4-0 in conference, so you have to do now. They haven't played the schedule. They're at LSU this weekend. They have Missouri. They end with Texas. So like we'll know what they're made of. But right now, they're probably 2. Georgia's for me. Georgia's 3. They're not the team they've been, Gabe. Right? They're not the team that they've been, but they're the killer instinct they have to win these games and the ability to just play your game, grind it out, do what's necessary. They deserve credit for that, right? They grinded out and win at Tennessee. They grinded out the Ole Miss win. It's not pretty. It's not what Georgia's been, but they figured out a way to win football games. And so they're 3 for me. I think Vandy's got to be 4, man. I don't know. The way they're playing right now, I maybe that's too high for them. And I think Ole Miss is probably 5 right now. That feels like the top. It's hard. Tennessee.
Yeah, you left out Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Tennessee,
I
Texas.
don't. Well, Texas is. No one cares about Texas.
I'm with you on that.
So Bama, A&M, Georgia, Vandy, Ole Miss, Tennessee, something like Missouri's got a big game this weekend. They play Vandy, right? Yeah. So and then they play A&M. So we'll know more about a couple of these teams next couple of weeks, Gabe. But I feel very comfortable with Bama being 1 and A&M 2 for now and Georgia 3.
Okay. Brian Kelly have any ties to Penn State? Any I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with some of these coaches and some of these places, but
this is going to be an all-time coaching carousel.
Yeah.
Because remember, Nick Saban left Alabama and we had like 7 dominoes for one coaching hire.
Uh-huh.
We're going to have Florida's open now. Penn State's open. LSU might open. Florida State might open. Auburn's surely going to open. It's just this domino effect of just like going down the list of Wisconsin might open. It's going to be an all-time coaching cycle. And we're going to have a lot of names that you didn't know are going to get some of these jobs, and you're going to have to find out who they are pretty quickly.
Okay, well then I have to ask this then after I saw the Napier news. So he's Franklin gets to keep about $50 million under certain conditions. He has to like be looking for a job. I don't know, whatever. It's got some conditions. Napier, it seems, just gets to keep about $20 million. And I'm starting to wonder, Jeff, I'm not trying to like pile on these guys, but isn't there a point in a season when you know, hey, this isn't looking good, where it's almost now like worth it to get fired? You know, like winning would actually be bad because
funny is Florida actually won their game on Saturday.
Okay, well, fine. So, but I'm looking at the math less than the scores of some of these games. Like, why are these contracts written this way? It incentivizes a coach to just go like, well, hell, I could make all this money just sitting at home and work on my next job.
Well, but coaches, they're not like that though. Like, you know, these guys, they're trying to win at all cost, and they're never trying to lose. And it's embarrassing to have a job like Florida and not be able to get it done, right, and whatnot. So, no, I don't think they're trying to lose, Gabe. I don't think they think that way at all. I don't think even James Franklin or Billy Napier is like, there's not a relief like that they got fired. I don't think there really is at all. These guys spend every waking hour thinking about football, and now they don't. And I think it's a very odd feeling for them to have to be at home and not have a football job. And that's why these guys do it for life. It's why rarely does a coach, like Bill Cowher, right, just like decides to, I'm done. I'm just done. I'm never going back. No one does that. It's so rare, Gabe, to not do that. Think about the coaches that have said they're doing that and then immediately regret it and go back into coaching. All like, it's just the way it is. And so, I get your point. And the reason why these contracts are so expensive is there's an arms race, first of all, and then the buyouts get so much to try to keep your coach there that ends up costing you on the back end with having to pay these coaches out. So, I mean, it's going to cost, they estimate $100 million if they have to buy out Mike Norvell, his staff, and then hire a new coach at Florida State, which is insane amount of money.
Yeah, it's all insane. And so one of the teams that has a guy who's just obsessed with thinking about football, which was probably how he comes up with these crazy trick plays that nobody needs to run that lead to fumbles that cost you the game, is Lincoln Riley. But I don't need to hear you crap all over USC for the 2 remaining minutes we have in this show. I'll admit it. Notre Dame deserved to stay in the rankings. Their run game is insane. And I now believe, after watching those running backs go, that they absolutely can contend for a title, even with a weird-looking start to the season.
So we have this topic on Bear Bets. Go listen to other podcasts if you would like. But first, you should rate, review, and subscribe to this one, and also subscribe on YouTube before you do any of that. We had this discussion yesterday, Gabe. Name the teams you would back to win a championship over Notre Dame right now. Ohio State, Alabama, Miami. I know they beat Miami, but a different Notre Dame team now.
Yeah.
Oregon. Would you back Oregon over Notre Dame at the moment? Would you back Indiana over Notre Dame at the moment?
Like, I know we just said all these nice things about them, but no.
Like, that's the list. So, yeah, Notre Dame is certainly – and then that game, they should have won by 20. I mean, that car interception was just horrendous. They missed a field goal. I don't know what they were doing there. The Riley thing, man, the trick play was dumb, but the 4th down play calls were terrible too. Notre Dame sniffed those out immediately. I don't get him, man. Like, legitimately, we all agree, offensive genius. Like, his play calls sometimes you're like, holy, what is he call? This is a great play call. And then those big moments, that tiny little play sheet of his doesn't have an answer. And I would imagine it's frustrating for you as a fan. Last college football thing. Let's be very clear. USC wants to cancel the Notre Dame series because they're getting their ass kicked. It's that simple. If they were winning 10 years in a row, they'd keep the series going. But they're getting their ass kicked. And that's why they want the series to end, Gabe. But I don't like it. I think the series should continue. It's what college football is about. And I hope they continue to do this for 50 years now. Oh, I don't hear Gabe anymore. Did he disconnect? Gabe's out. I think he closed his computer screen. So I can't hear Gabe anymore. So we can't hear Gabe answer. This is actually perfect. This is perfect for Gabe. We can't hear Gabe even answer this. All I know is all the USC media people, USC's put the word out. All the media members right now are just talking about the canceling the series. They put the word out. Not on this show, not this media member. USC has to keep playing Notre Dame. That's it for today's show. We'll be back on next Tuesday with Gabe, but Thursday with Matt. We'll preview all the games. We had a better week this week. We're starting to maybe get in a groove here as we figure out what to do on our gambling. Thank you to DraftKings as usual. We'll be back on Thursday, guys. Take care, everybody.